Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Global Issues on Al Hikmat TV 24/7 online. It is indeed a pleasure to have with us in Al Hikmat studio Sister Naima Ghani. Did I leave out Khan?
Yes, you sure did.
Am I supposed to say Naima Khan Ghani or Naima Ghani Khan?
I would prefer Naima Khan Ghani.
Wow.
Thank you.
I have always known that you were very particular about this name.
My name, yes, I am.
Wow. So it's Naima Khan Ghani.
Yes.
Good. So for our viewers out there, we're going to talk to Sister Naima Khan Ghani about her services, medical services that she coordinates as the event coordinator of Lifespan Holistic Health Network. This is an organization that serves senior citizens and people of all different walks of life are welcome. So she coordinates this with health programs and mind, body, and soul services, etc. So stay tuned as we talk to Sister Naima on these different services that she coordinates with students, with seniors, and with all ages. All right? So welcome to the show, Sister Naima. And I got to write that down, Naima Khan Ghani. I have always made that mistake, and I got to make that very public. Could we start with that? So who is Khan and who is Ghani?
Why I'm very particular.
This might be a learning.
Okay.
This might just be a learning process for our viewers, because our viewers are very worldwide, whether it be Pakistan, Arabia, Africa. We got a lot of followers in Africa. Did you know that?
That's
great.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Uganda, Nigeria, Saudi, beside the Caribbean and all over. So this might be interesting because a lot of countries have been ruled by the British, right? And I think that name change had a lot to do with the British rule in countries that they ruled. It was part of the law that the wife changes her name to her husband's name when she gets married. Isn't that? I mean, you're in the teaching profession, not me.
Yes.
And that's something I also need to let the audience know. Sister Naima is a teacher by profession. How many years now?
In the public school system, 17 years.
Wow, that's almost my age, yeah?
But longer if I count Islamic schools, but I've been teaching for a long time.
Putting together everything, Islamic school.
30 plus
30 years, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get back to this name situation. I think that's very educational because there are a lot of Muslims who don't even understand this.
So I'm very particular about my name because I think it's important for me to keep my father's name because I want that legacy to stay alive, at least with me. And of course, I will adopt my husband's name at the same time. So I wanted the best of both worlds. I don't want to give up one for the other.
Is interesting. So basically, the British system is where I don't know if, historically speaking, if they adopted this system or they initiated this name change. But I like the idea that you have kept this, and I think now that you're on this show, and it's a global issue, our people all over the world can understand this. Now that we're talking about this, why do you keep your father's name?
Because I think I want his legacy to be kept alive, at least with me. I know my brothers will take on his name, and that will move on, but I wanted as his daughter, I'm the only daughter in my family, so I wanted to keep that name, so that his legacy and his name will continue.
And you also add the husband name.
Yes.
Now, that brings me to the next point, that a lot of people, I don't think they realize that they do not have to change their father's name. They do not have to change their father's name when they get married. They can add it. I mean, not add it, sorry. They can add their husband's surname to their name, as you have. Naima Khan is your dad's name, and Ghani is your husband's name.
Yes.
And in some cases, people don't even need to add their husband name.
Right, they can
There
just
is no
adopt their
law
own.
in Islam that says when a woman gets married, she has to add the name. Now that brings me to all these passport applications that go on in the Western world when they ask you of your surname. And do you know sometimes you apply for visas and they'll ask you for your father's name and your mother's name. Islam is so very interesting to understand the history of name change. Now that brings us to another point. So if a woman has to remarry, she's going to have to add all these husbands' names?
I guess that's going to be a personal opinion.
No,
a
because
choice for her.
I have seen that happen. I have interviewed people, and this was their name. They changed their dad's name. they add one husband name.
And they kept adding.
Then they add another husband name. And I'm like, what is that name? And then this was the second husband. And I'm like, okay. But they don't go further.
So I guess the name tells a story of their lifeline,
Probably.
you know. And I wanted to follow my mom as being my role model. She kept her maiden name and her married name and hyphenated it. So I sort of did the same.
But it's interesting because I think out there, because Islam is so universal, once upon a time, people just lived very British style, what went on in the country, monkey see, monkey do, not realizing there is no need to change your name, number one. Yes, you can add the husband name. Two, you don't even have to, because remember, in the Islamic world before, it just does not happen so much in the West, but in the Islamic world, and I really want our viewers to understand this. You know, husband died, the wife remarries, that husband divorced, the wife remarries. Now, are you going to be changing all these names? Not at all. See, the point I'm getting at, look how beautiful Islam is. It is so realistic, it is so practical that a wife becomes the wife of the husband, but she has a choice to add the name or not to add the name. So it does not confuse her after, because I really don't think a second husband might like calling her first wife, his wife, by her first husband's name. Do you think?
I don't think that
I don't think
appropriate.
so. But the point I'm getting at, don't you see how beautiful Islam is?
It is.
Wow, it is so realistic. And it's nice to know that you live up to this. That is really, a lot of husbands going to get angry out there.
Well, it liberated us so many years ago. So it gives us, Islam gives us that freedom to be able to do that. So we don't have to follow the West and say, I have to change my name. I can keep both, or I can keep my father's name.
Yeah, because some people change their name to the husband's name and they don't even love the husband.
Oh, we won't get into that.
I don't even know. I don't even know if they just love the name. But I'm sure a lot of our youngsters there and our sisters there will now, some of the intellectual ones will realize a lot of the sisters before didn't know. They thought when you get married, you got to change the name, and the whole system was like that with the passport and all these things. But I have noticed in the East and Far East, they don't really do. They don't. Many people have no clue on their name of the husband's name.
They keep their
because
legacy.
you know,
lineage.
in taking people to Hajj and meeting people in the East and the Middle East, I have learned to realize that, and I have never spoken about it really. Today is the first time really publicly speaking about that, and I think it's a good message for our people out there. Yes, change the name if you want. However, that brings us to another point. We haven't gotten to the what do you call it, the Lifespan Holistic Health Network yet. However, the children take the name of the
father's
dad.
name.
You see how interesting it is? The children now will have to put the name of their dad, Ibn so-and-so, and carry on the legacy. But it does not necessarily mean that the wife have to. So that's good. So we started with your name, right?
Interesting.
Let us know a little bit about your background geographically. How long now have you been in the United States of America? What's your Islamic background, career? Because here you are doing all these services with Muslim Students Association. That's what MSA stands for?
Yes.
No, MSA.
MSA.
Muslim Students Association, senior citizens, community work, educational. So let us know a little bit about your background.
I was born in Trinidad. I migrated 31 years ago. So I've lived more of my life here in the United States in South Florida rather than in Trinidad, but Trinidad is still home.
And that's the same thing has happened. I have lived more out of Trinidad than back home, but I still love Trinidad as the land of paradise.
Of course.
I don't know if people still keep it like the land of paradise, but it's how you live can make your paradise.
It'll be home. No matter where you go and how long it'll still be home. So when I migrated here, I was doing Islamic work in Trinidad since I was 16. So I've been involved in Islamic activities, from camping to doing seminars and getting even television program. The very first television program we had in Trinidad, I was the hostess of that. That was many years ago.
The very first
Islamic
television program
very first
in
national,
Trinidad. And that used to be on what
called
station?
Focus on Islam. But we only had one station then.
TTT, right?
Yes.
Interesting.
There was only one.
Trinidad and Tobago television. I still remember that, Trinidad.
Yes.
And I think I remember that show. Was it on a Sunday morning?
It was on a Saturday morning.
Oh, Saturday morning.
It's called Focus on Islam.
Yeah, that's some time back.
So that's a long time ago. It's back in history. So I've been involved in work since then in Trinidad. And when I migrated to the United States, I continued that same passion for, I guess, giving back to the community and being involved at whatever levels.
Interesting. Tell us a little bit about Focus on Islam. I think that's nice. You know why? A lot of people in Trinidad really don't know about a lot of these community services and things that happen over the years, which were basically the foundation of many things, many things. I remember I used to run a show on Trinidad and Tobago television also called, I think it was Young Talent. Al Hikmat Young Talent Show, something to that effect. On a Saturday morning also.
So that was after Focus on Islam, I'm sure. Because
oh, definitely.
Focus on Islam was, we made history at that many, many years ago, because I've been living here for 31 years, so it has to be 31 plus. It was the very first national television Islamic show that we had in Trinidad. So we made history at that point where we introduced the community, we introduced the nation to Islam from short talks, lectures, even entertainment, Islamic entertainment. We'll get the students from the Sunday schools and Saturday weekend schools, and they would come and they would perform. So it was an avenue for us to expose the community to Islam and what it really meant, and give them a little bit of fun and entertainment and education at the same time.
Yeah, no, I do remember.
So a lot of people were involved in that, and some are still with us, and unfortunately.
So how old were you when you got involved with Focus on Islam?
I was maybe 21, about 21 years old, 20, 21.
Good, good. So you started your community services and community events and involvement in the society from a very young age, yeah?
Yes, since I was...
Good. So that motivated you to get into such activities here in the United States of
America.
America.
I just continued because it's been in my blood, and I guess it's part of my DNA and part of my normal living. I can't see my life without having these activities involved in it.
It gets boring.
Oh, yes. And you stay out of trouble that way too, anyway, when you get involved. Anyway, so what caused me to move to South Florida, I came to a camp in 1988. There was a summer camp, and I was invited to be one of the counselors at that camp. And that my mom came with me and decided, you know, we're thinking of migrating, so maybe South Florida would be the place where we would set down roots. So that's how we moved here. And the family that I got involved with today, very special people, they're still involved in the community. So I teamed up with them and got involved in Islamic work since migrating.
So your Islamic activities and community services was like really a springboard to your international activities today?
Yes, I would say that.
Yeah, because here you were involved, and that youth activities brought you to Miami, Florida, and now you have just expanded on those kind of activities. Subhanallah, mashallah. Anything else about your background in Trinidad before we get on to here?
No, that's it. In Trinidad, I was just involved, you know, giving back to the community, and I continued here.
And I suppose a lot of the younger generation now would not have a clue of that.
No.
Yeah,
not unless it's up for discussion. They really don't know my background in
because, you know,
Trinidad.
sometimes when I go back to Trinidad, a lot of people have no clue of 30 years ago what used to happen and how things went on, etc. But it's interesting. It is interesting. And it's also interesting. Do you meet younger people, people like of that age who were like 9, 10 years when you were in these social services, and then now when you meet them, they are 40 years, and they're like, wow, and they will tell you, when I was just a little kid, I would remember. Do you run into people like that?
A few. There have been a few instances where people back home would say, or even if I go to visit, and they would remember, your face looks familiar, you know, and then we start talking, and I'm like, okay, but
I think
it's
that's
not something that I
Listen, when I run into some people and they look 45 years, and I'm like, all right, and they say, but Sheikh, I knew you when I was a little boy. I said, no, now you make me feel very old.
It's a lifetime ago. It's
but
a whole different lifetime.
So tell us a little bit about You want to tell us about your teaching career? You want to get straight into lifespan?
Whichever you like. I mean, when I came
So what got you
here,
into teaching in America?
well, I was always teaching in the Islamic schools. When
Okay.
I came to the United States, my passion was therapy. I wanted to become a mental health therapist. So I went to school and I did follow my dream for a while. I was a mental health therapist before I became a teacher. So I did counseling for children and families. And after a couple of years, I decided that I needed to switch profession because I needed to be there for my own family.
So
Here I
you
am
studied
helping.
counseling
Yes,
at which
at
university?
FIU. I went to Florida International University.
Good, good, good. All right, and you did counseling. Interesting. So what would have been that degree?
Oh, I did my master's in social work.
Masters in
Yes.
social work. Good. And then you switched to...
I decided that I wanted to become a teacher because my children were young at the time, elementary school level, and I wanted to have a profession that would give me the opportunity to be there for them and with them rather than make the sacrifice to follow my personal dream and be out during the nighttime where they needed to be, because the job that I had entailed that I work after hours because I did therapy with children after they got out of school, and that's when my own children needed me. So I made the switch, personal decision that I made for my family to get into teaching, because my friend said, you know, that's the best profession. You're home with the kids on vacation time. When they go to school, you go to work, and when you're home, they're home with you. So I took that advice and I became a teacher. I just went and took the certification exam because I already had my degrees. So I became a certified math teacher, 5 through 9. So I teach math. So I'm a certified math.
Teacher at Makata High School.
Well, yes, I went from middle school to high school, from Islamic school to middle school to high school. So I did all realm. Yes, so I did Islamic school realm.
Mirma what? Elementary school? Or
No,
Mirma
I did
middle school.
It was called H.D. Perry Middle School. It's in Miramar.
Oh, it's called
Perry Middle School.
Why
yes.
did I think it was?
It's in Miramar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately they closed down. They no longer exist as a middle school. But I taught in Islamic school before. When I first came here, I have to give, you know, I guess a lot of support. I hold them very dear. Masjid Al-Ansar gave me my first job teaching part-time while I was a student. So I went there part-time, and then when I got my degree, I worked there full-time.
So
and then
middle school, high school, therapy. So you can be a good consultant for a lot of youths out there.
Well, I do a lot of work with the youth, yes.
And I'm sure people in other countries who are viewing this program, you can get some calls so they can contact Al Hikmat office, right?
Of course.
Because I must say there are a lot of people that come on the show. When others from different countries see the show, I've had a lot of people who were called by viewers to come and lecture in their country to the organizations. So I think you can be very motivational to youths and organizations that are struggling in areas of motivating their youths and youth activities, because you have done tons of activities with youths and for youths. Am I correct?
Correct, yes.
Excellent. And you're even doing it here with the Muslim Students Association.
Of course.
Excellent.
Continue. And Al Hikmat Dawah Center is our base for all of these activities. I have to, you know, give credit because it's a place where we feel comfortable. The students feel comfortable coming here and having their meetings and their events. Even the senior citizens feel comfortable. It's a second home. So it is our base. Al Hikmat Dawah Center is our
that's
base.
the beauty of Al Hikmat. Al Hikmat just loves to work with other people. As I said, we don't believe in reinventing the wheel. If there are people to do things out there, why? Just coordinate, work with everyone, and let them have their services and activities, and that's how you're part of it, and you get the blessings. The key thing is to get the blessings, right?
Right, and that's our philosophy. We work with whatever exists already. Like you said, there's no need to reinvent the wheel.
No,
it's not about the name and the fame, it's about getting the work done. And that's always been my philosophy. Get the job done no matter what, you know, any means necessary. Get the job done.
I think it's such a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of resources. You collaborate with other people and get things done, and that's what is called unity.
Right.
And united we stand, divided we fall.
Exactly.
The very famous saying. Huh? So that brought you to the lifespan, what you call holistic health network. So tell us a little bit about let's see the time here now. Okay, good. We could talk a little bit before we go on. Because
Okay.
time just goes, time just goes.
When you're having fun, yes.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about this senior citizen program, which is registered in the state of Florida.
Yes, it is.
As Lifespan Holistic Health Network. Huh? Tell us a little bit
So
about that.
this
How long
organization-
now has it been registered,
Right.
etc.?
Okay, well, this organization started more than 15 years ago. And it was an idea that my mother and father had to cater for the senior citizen community, because they thought that this community, this section of the community was very much neglected. The focus was on the youth, focus on the young ones, and nobody was thinking about the senior citizens. Even me personally at the time thinking, oh my God, I'm too young, I don't need to be in senior citizen, you know. So I shunned the idea personally when they came up with it. Oh, I'm not a senior citizen, so I don't need to be involved in that. But look where I am now.
So was it called Senior Citizen once upon a time?
Initially, it was called Senior Citizen Society, and then they changed the name to Lifespan Holistic Health Network because they wanted to incorporate everyone, not just say it was senior citizen. Right.
People under 50 will not feel that we need to be part of this.
Exactly, and that was the philosophy and the thinking behind changing the name from senior citizen to Lifespan.
But not
Holistic.
realizing that people
Yeah.
who are 40 and 50 will definitely reach there
Right.
and will be part of it. So they need to be part from now.
Exactly.
So they will know what they're involved in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we wanted to incorporate everyone and
Yes.
bridge the gap between the young and the old.
Okay.
So Senior Citizen changed the name to Lifespan Holistic. And like I said, it was an idea that it was initiated by my parents.
Wow.
So now that they are...
So basically you are just a chip of that block.
Yes, I'm trying to keep their legacy alive because they no longer can do this on a monthly basis, because what they did was had health seminars, and they would go from different geographical locations, different massages, different community centers, and they would present the whole health seminar where they would have the free medical health clinic, they would do provide breakfast and lunch, they would have the focus on lectures that would gear towards the mind, the body, and the soul. So they would have physical, where they would have a professional, a cardiologist, or somebody from a medical profession coming in and talking to them, as well as they would have somebody like an imam or a scholar would come and talk about the spiritual development. So that's why it was the holistic part. So they continued this for quite a long time until they can no longer do it at this point. So maybe the past 2 or 3 years, I thought, you know, it was a lull for a while. And then community said, what's happening to the senior citizens? Because now they realize that what they took for granted when it no longer existed, how much they appreciated it.
Yeah.
So we sort of revived the whole organization. And now we've continued the health seminars, and we've added the social aspect of it, where we do brunch once a month as well for the senior citizens.
So this program or this organization, Lifespan Holistic Health Network, is it the first organization that pioneered this kind of thing in the Muslim community?
So to my knowledge, I think at least in South Florida, it was the first that planned programs and activities towards that particular age group. Now we have other people coming and, you know, trying to, because I guess they realize there's a need. There's a need to focus on that particular age group.
So basically speaking, this is the organization that pioneered it, basically.
Yes, yes. So my parents did do that.
And it makes sense because now people would realize South Florida is a very young community in comparison to California, New York, where people, when they hear of America, they would go to New York and California, etc., right? Boston.
Right.
But South Florida, geographically, its settings, it's growing. It was really based on a lot of people who what would you call them? People would come down here at a senior age and settle, and they would relax. It was more like a resort 50 years ago.
Retirement, yeah.
Retirement
yes,
state.
yeah.
It is based a retirement state. But with the Muslims who came here, they did not reach that stage yet.
Right.
And it's now their children are realizing that they are the seniors because they were the pioneers.
Exactly. Now it's
Basically,
flipped.
they were the pioneers. So they would not have seen the need for these services. But now these services practically mandatory.
Right. Now it's becoming more and more obvious that we need to cater for this community. So Lifespan Holistic have teamed up with a lot of other organizations because we can't do this, you know, on our own in order for it to be sustainable.
Yes.
So we've teamed up with UHI. They also provide medical services, the pharmacists, the medical professionals. They come in and they do the health clinic part of it. And we've also sort of incorporated Nova medical students. So we give them the exposure and the experience that they need as medical students.
What, do they get credit?
They get community service hours, and they get the hands-on experience working with professionals. So we've teamed up with them for a number of years at the same time. So we've incorporated not just the seniors, but we try to bridge the gap with so many organizations that already exist and that can be beneficial with a good partnership. We also have teamed up with Friends of Humanity International. They sponsor most of our lunches and breakfasts.
Oh, interesting.
And the Broward County Council of Muslim Students of Associations for middle and high schools. So that is a key component of this factor now, trying to bridge the gap between the elderly and the seniors, the young individuals in our community. Because what we notice is that when they get together, the young and the not so young, when they get together, they find that there's such a good partnership and dynamic that exists between these two groups that they're yearning for more. The young people think, oh, I'm getting a chance to give back, you know, to my community. I can listen to them. They have to learn to be patient with the elderly, help them across if they're on a walker. They assist them to come to their seats. They listen to them, because what's happening is that when our elderly get to a certain age, they want people to listen to them. They love to talk, but there's no one listening to them. So when they come to our programs, we have the young people who are there listening to their stories. Right. You know, they share their biography. They love to tell their story of when they were young, what they did to do.
As you're saying that, I mean, it's not that I like to cut, but one of the reasons why, like I had someone looking at the shows like, you got to let the person say everything they want to say. But you see, sometimes our viewers, I try to ask questions in between our viewers think. Because of the fact that like you're saying that, and viewers in their mind are probably, yes, wow. But that tells me and reminds me of another thing. That's why the Prophet ﷺ says, you must sit with those who have experience. And the senior citizens are people who have lived a life of experience. So it is such a beautiful thing for the MSA and for anybody younger than them to sit with them and listen to them. And I'm hearing, and I'm listening to what you said, that they are talking, but they think no one is listening to them. Right. And I think it is so important for people to listen to them. Because in Islam, we were taught by the Prophet ﷺ to listen to the elders. Not everything may make sense, but you definitely will get sense of something that they're saying out of the experience. And I think that's an area we need to really concentrate on. And then not just tell people who are younger that, you know, be nice to them, be kind to them, give them a hearing. I think we should let younger people know it's not only about being nice to them, but it's beneficial to you to listen to their stories. They may have so much in their career that you and I can learn from it. I mean, I learn a lot from older people, right? Seniors. They tell you of things in your life that you might be going through. Boom, it gives you an idea.
I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge stored up with them, and they just have that they want to share. So this is a great opportunity to bridge those gaps. So do you have a time
in the programs for them to talk and share their stories?
So definitely. We used to, at the beginning of the program, we will give them time, you know, to speak, and sometimes they would even want to share a story. They may want to share a joke. They may want to share an experience. They share a song, give them an opportunity to just whatever their talent is. So they may sing. We had entertainment the last time we had our last program. Actually, we did henna. I mean, it was the first time to see the faces lit up when they were actually getting henna done. The elderly, they were like never had it done in their life before. So there was like, you know, just the one flower. They were like their whole hand. So it was a big thing for them, and things that we take for granted. It meant so much to them to see the joy in their faces. So they had henna done. They had brunch. They socialized. They listened to old music, because we played the old Indian song back in their day and took them back, you know, more than 30, 40, 50 years ago. They would, the kind of songs that they would listen to.
They went back to memory lane.
Way back. So you had that in the background, and they were like, you know, bringing back these happy moments for them. So it was really fulfilling to see the expression on their faces in that kind of environment.
Wow. No, I am really amazed,
Yeah.
and I think this is such an important thing. And you were saying these things, and I'm, I like this sort of vision, and I'm thinking not only is it something of kindness to the elders, but it's a great benefit to the youngsters.
Right.
The ones who are younger, we can really learn so much from them.
Exactly.
So we have already been talking for more than 25 minutes.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Actually, 28 minutes.
Okay.
So we got to go on a short
Okay.
commercial break. When we get back, we want to get into some more discussion on some of the activities that you have, with the MSA, with the senior citizens, because I think before we got on the show, we were talking about that gala event
Yes.
you had. Some of the events you have in mind for the future, some of the ideas, it may not have happened, but some of the ideas for the
Right.
senior citizens. And I really love that idea of all age groups working together. And some of the services that you coordinate for them with the medical professionals to come by, and what do they offer for them? How do they benefit from it? I think viewers in other countries will definitely learn a lot because they definitely got these resources.
Right.
But not everybody probably coordinate these resources. And this is what you get going here. You coordinate seniors, juniors, middle age, all ages, professionals, skilled people.
Bring them all together.
You
Yes.
have people who are skilled in all different walks of life, and they work together as a strong community bond. So stay tuned after the short commercial break. We will continue this conversation with Sister Naima Kangania
Thank you.
on some of these services that are offered for senior citizens, or maybe I want to say in the name of senior citizens, for the pleasure of Allah, but it brings the entire community together because we are, at the end of the day, one big family.
Yes, we
Stay
are.
tuned. We will return after the short break, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Al Hikmah TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Global Issues on Al Hikmah TV 24/7 online. Once more, it is indeed a pleasure to have with us in the studio Sister Naima Kangani. And those of you who have just tuned in, we were talking about Lifespan Holistic Health Network services that Sister Naima Kangani is the event coordinator. She's a teacher by profession, and she does a lot of work and community services for the seniors, for students, and for the community at large. So stay tuned as we continue this discussion. With the MSA, Muslim Students Association, how do they get involved with the seniors? And that's interesting. MSA, what is their age group?
So the MSA consists of students from middle to high school. So we're looking at 12 to maybe 18. And we don't want to confuse it for the MSA that we have in colleges, because we do have an MSA, Muslim Student Association, in college. So the one that we just formed about 3 years ago is called the Broward County Council of Muslim Students Association for middle and high schools. I know it's a mouthful, but we focus, the MSA that I'm working with is for the middle and high school
So it's
students.
a Broward County MSA.
Yes, so that originated, just to give you a quick history, 3 years ago, the Broward County School District decided to recognize the American Muslim Heritage Month. So whatever the Ramadan falls in, that is considered our American Muslim Heritage Month. So the students go and perform in front of school board, and that gave rise to bringing the middle and the high school students together under one umbrella, where we can motivate them to probably start MSAs at the middle and high school level, which is what we started. And we have probably over 20 schools in the central and the south regions that have MSAs or students who are involved in the council.
And this is middle school and
Middle and high school.
which will be able to give a voice
Yes.
for these students.
Yes.
And they have a voice.
And they have a voice to school board, directly to the
Because they are
Broward
part
County
of the school system.
Exactly. So they listen to the students, we do presentations. We are actually right now petitioning the school board in Broward County to incorporate Eid, the 2 Eids, whenever it falls on an instructional day, that we get it as a day off on our school calendar. So we're waiting for that decision to be made in December, inshallah.
That is interesting. That actually, I cannot call name, but I ran into one of the board members for the Broward County, and I think a lot of them are in favor of it.
Yes, they are.
A lot of them are in favor of it, and they are, this person, her husband is highly in the political world. So she was telling me that some of them are just doing the maths to see how many Muslims are attending schools in Broward County, which will give them another, that's like doing the maths.
Right.
That will give them another point of evidence to make this happen.
Right, because they need to look at the statistics to find out the population of Muslim students we have in Broward County. And we are the fastest growing religion here. I think we're the second largest. So they know that our population is rapidly increasing in Broward County. So there's no question about that. It's just a matter of actually making it happen. So the students are very, in tune to doing that, signing petition, getting the debate team involved. They actually had a debate that they presented to the school board at the Darul Uloom Institute, hosted by Al-Hikmat Dawah Center, and we,
we
had
over
the debate.
300 people there, right?
So it's been a slow but steady process to get this. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You know, some people say we didn't get the day off yet, but no, we didn't get it yet, but we're working towards it.
Of course.
And it's a process that you have to follow through. It's not going to happen just like that. So we're almost there at the end of the road, and we're hoping that in December, when they vote, that it'll be in our favor, that this will become a reality.
The message is there, because I met one of these board members in an interfaith program, and they were asking me about it and whatever. And well, when they met me, first thing is that, I'm in favor of it. I'm like, in favor of what?
They just assumed,
yeah. But I knew what she was talking about, but I pretended like I didn't know what it is. But do you know, that brings me to another question. And you probably think, I know a lot of people think that I sound very controversial, but I don't think I'm controversial. Do you think I'm controversial?
Well, we're on air, so I don't know.
I'm putting you on the spot.
What are you talking about?
Well, I know a lot of people think I'm controversial, but I don't think I'm controversial. I like to discuss intellectual issues. And intellectual issues make you think that you're controversial because you're not stereotyped. Are you following what I'm saying?
I agree.
And I could talk that with you as a teacher. So people might think, well, what is Shaikh Shafayat talking about? In the early days, we sort of pioneered things like live khutbah broadcasts in America. In America, Al-Hikmat pioneered live khutbah broadcasts on TV material. And I don't mean just a computer. I'm talking about recording the khutbahs. I had the days many years ago that people question. So being a school teacher in the public school, I'm going to put you on a little spot, but don't back off from the question.
That's right. I'm ready for this.
I want you to be very honest, because I like what you just said, and it may be another discussion like the Naima Gani thing, and I'm priming you up for it. I'm having you on some tension here. When you mention the name of the students, the Broward County MSA?
Council of MSAs.
Council of MSAs, which is so powerful, which is so interesting. And really and realistically speaking, these students, it doesn't matter how much the seniors get together, whether, you will have a say as a teacher, but it doesn't matter how much you take all the imams in South Florida to get in front of the board, to talk to the school board about a public holiday, or school holiday, school holiday for the students. The maths is what will be the final analysis, and the Muslim students will make that difference. So when they hear the Muslim teachers and the Muslim students of public schools, and I'm rubbing it in, public schools, come forth and make their case, these public schools administrators have to respond to their students' request. That's what the democratic system is all about.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
So that brings us to the Muslim schools now. Do you really think, and I'm just saying because I go around the United States of America, I meet a lot of Muslim professionals and scholars, and we have had discussions. Do you really think that Muslim schools, with the amount of money that is spent, millions, and I mean millions, and if you take the Muslim schools in America, we're speaking billions. But let's talk millions in account in a school. The millions that are spent to teach academic education, do you think that millions that are spent, and I want to rub it in a little more, taking Muslims, hard-earned money that can be put into Islamic organizations and support this kind of lifespan holistic health network, real community services, a higher level of Islamic education, right? A higher level of social services for the community. Take that millions and put it into that. I mean billions. Put it into that and let the students benefit from the public high schools. Because you're a public high school teacher.
Yes, I am.
And do you think that that millions that are spent, or billions, the students really get that 100% of academic services, and I don't mean just book knowledge, services, as they get for free in the public system?
So that's a loaded question.
It's very loaded. Listen, and no one will disagree with you, no one will go against you. Just share the intellectual, because listen, we are thinkers. 20 years down the road, people may come back to say that was a fantastic idea, we need that. I don't know.
So let me share with you. In our quest to make this happen, I have to give credit to the Islamic schools in Broward County.
Okay.
Because they are very supportive of actually making this happen for the public. They're not going to benefit from it, but they were very supportive because they follow their own calendar. But they were very supportive of the public school students, because we work as a community, where they came out in their numbers from the Islamic schools, came out their numbers to the workshop that was held a few weeks ago in support, where the principal came out and spoke, the imams came out and spoke from these Islamic communities and Islamic schools, and spoke in favor of the community as a whole. So in that arena, we were as a community, not Islamic school versus public school.
I think we should be calling them Muslim schools, right?
So
no, I just don't want my viewers to think I'm talking of religious schools.
Yes, so
but these are Muslim schools that teach academic education.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
So we have, yes, of course, full-time Islamic schools where they teach academics and religion at the same time.
Beautiful, yeah.
So we worked as one entity. So it wasn't like one versus the other. So we do have, I mean, whether you're in the public school or you're in Islamic school, there are always going to be some differences. You're going to have, you know, everything is not going to be perfect. You may have the public school that will offer something that the Islamic school may not offer, that they would be highlighted, that you can take advantage of. But then vice versa, you have things in the Islamic school will have to offer, like the religion and the character building and things like that in Islamic school that you can get in a public school. So what's missing is that bridging both worlds together, that we can benefit in this ideal society in an Islamic school, because the deficit on both ends.
Excellent. And I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And it's a little different in America than other countries where Muslims, you know, have Muslim schools, and you got non-Muslims in the school. You got it's paid by the government. The government pays the I don't know the exact percentage, but there is a deep percentage that is paid and run by the Ministry of Education of the government. So the Muslim schools in those countries, I'm not questioning that. So our viewers, I don't want them to think I'm talking about that.
Right.
Muslim schools in other countries where the government pays the teachers, and you got a percentage of non-Muslim students in these schools, but it's the administrators are Muslims. Excellent. That's superb. I have no problem with that.
Right.
I sometimes, in my little survey in America, I've been all over the United States, lectured, and I do a lot of fundraising for a lot of Muslim schools. What I've seen is the kind of millions, that's my problem, of money from the Muslims that could go into more Islamic activities as opposed to reinventing the wheel of what the government already has to offer, of what the government has to offer in the scientific, social studies world. Yes, they get a lot of book knowledge in the Muslim schools, and that is fantastic. I support it, exactly what you said. A lot of people are scared of the shortcoming, see the point, or the deficit that you have on this side, so they prefer to send their kids into the Muslim school. But for some reason, if a bigger volume of Muslims go into the public schools here in America, I think they'll have a stronger voice in getting a lot of things adjusted and changed that will benefit the Muslims. That will benefit the Muslims. And they will go to academic school 8 to 2 and go to the Islamic school in the evening from 5 to 7 on a daily basis. So they will get the better of the two worlds. I'm only, because, you know, I see so many kind of fantastic things masjids need to have and Islamic organizations need to have, and they're just always begging. They're always begging, and they cannot even run their Islamic home properly. What I mean, the masjid and the Islamic organization is always a bunch of beggars. But they're spending millions of dollars to teach a kid maths, when I think you can get maths in Broward Public School.
I worked in the public school system. I am in the public school system now.
Well, that's why I'm asking you this.
But I also worked in the Islamic school system. So I've experienced both worlds. And I'm not going to say one is better than the other, because, I mean, my children went to public school, but at some point in time, like, you know, you got to favor where, like you say, where you're going to get the best. Now, certain things that the Islamic school offer, you're not going to get it in the public school.
100%.
So what we're in the process right now, these Islamic schools, is trying to develop that, and they are growing and developing, where they have that professionalism, they have all the training for their teachers, and they're getting to that point, but it's a slow but steady process.
Yeah.
You know, we can't say we're going to give up one for the other. And at the same time, everybody cannot afford to go to these Islamic schools. So the parents and the families that can't afford to go to the Islamic schools, they got to make the best of what they have with the public school. And that's where I come in and try to provide that deficit that we're not getting, and say, we have these Muslims in these public schools, what are we going to do about them, because the numbers are growing. So we're going to be not the one against the other, but
it's about $500 a month, right?
For
fees for a
it
student.
Depends, yeah, and it depends on the
$400 to
school.
$500.
It depends on the school, and I guess the level that they are, whether it's kindergarten, high school. It varies. So I'm not sure of the range, but in public school, it depends on your geographical location.
Yeah.
The more students you have in that area, for example, right here in Hollywood, we have a lot of Muslim students that go to MacArthur High School, which is the school that I teach at. So our numbers are continuously growing. So the need to have activities for the Muslims in that school is obvious and easily and readily accepted, because we have the population of students there. Whereas you go to another school in a different area, you may have one Muslim or no Muslims going to that school. So there's no need for that in the schools. It all depends on where you are, your locality, and what your audience and what your population is.
Yeah. No,
so one is more than the other, which is one of the reasons for the Broward County Council of MSA, is to bring these students together, and not only bring the Muslim students together, but we work as a club, so our club is open to all students in the school. So whether you're a Muslim or non-Muslim, and oddly enough, we have a lot of non-Muslims joining our club, because our main goal is community service.
Right. And I am
brings us back to senior citizens.
I'm 100% in agreement with what you have said. Those parents who can afford to send their students or their children to a private Muslim school, alhamdulillah. But the situation is, what about those who can't afford?
Right.
So they can benefit from the public schools, and with people like you who coordinate these sort of MSAs, get something very, very unique and very, very progressive going, that these students can benefit and not get corrupted by the bad things that go on, and also have some sort of arrangements where they can get their Islamic education properly on a daily basis from Islamic centers and school. But they need to have that gap. Because what I have seen, Sister Naima, I've seen one extreme. Those who only go to Muslim school, they're like a little bit, some of them, not all, some of them a little too what would you call that? They're a little too much in the closed shop, closed mind. They're a little bit in their own little world. Those who only go into public school, they don't want to associate with this Islamic world. So we have a wall in between. I'm saying we need to bridge that gap. Facilitate everybody.
Totally agree with you. And
that's why I asked that question.
Yes.
I just want to sound
and I
controversial.
totally agree with you, and that's what MSA does, because we're bringing all these students, whether you're in an Islamic school, a public school, a charter school, a private school, we bring all the Muslim students together. So even people say, well, you want an MSA in an Islamic school? I said, yes, because our focus is community service. So we're all coming together and see how we can provide services for the community for everyone, whatever the age group is.
We definitely need them all. We need the Muslim school. We need the Muslims in public school. Listen, we need the Muslim school and we need Muslims in public school. And we need a combination with all of them working together so everyone benefits. Otherwise, at the end of the day, I have seen that happen in other communities and countries, and I think this is phenomenal. Well, time has gone. We really, you know, wow, I thought we already 5 minutes ahead over time, but we had to get into some more ideas and some. Could you tell us in about 1 minute or so, what are some of the ideas you have for the future on events for the MSA and the Lifespan Holistic Health Network? I want to make sure I get the name correct.
Some of the things that we have already done and is continuing to be a trend for us is that we host every year a senior citizen gala, where we invite all the citizens in our community to come out, and like we call it the senior citizen prom, but it's really not really a prom. They come out, they dress up, they bring their family, they get awards and certificates, and they're recognized for their services in the community, because often they are the forgotten ones. We're also working with the students in the MSAs to provide services for some of the seniors who can't go to the grocery store. So it's a project that some of the students in the high school are working on, in the process of working on, so they can provide some of these services for the senior citizens in the community. Take them, if it's an hour once a week, take them to the groceries, get their, help them with the shopping, and take them back and provide that kind of service for them.
I think this is
a lot of things in the works.
This is so blessed. This is so unique, so phenomenal. What a blessed coordination I think that is. You got students, you got the youths, you got the seniors, you got all age group working together towards such a blessed cause. Well, thank you very much. We did not have enough time to talk about all these different services. I know we went off a little bit on some other thing, but as I said, I just wanted people to think, and I like the mere fact that you're bringing public school students to work with the seniors and in the Islamic activities and community. That's helping to bridge the gap. And as I said, one of the other thing I would love to start seeing the public students also get some more exposure to Islamic activities, and a lot of our Muslim school students get exposure to a lot of community services. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have that extreme. But may Allah bless you. Thank you very much for being on this show, Global Issues on Al Hikmat TV. We went into some detailed topics, some very brainstorming issues, but Allah bless you for all these community services, and I think you definitely need to come back on the show so we could probably get into some more ideas and some more detailed discussions. And I must commend the idea of the seniors gala. Is that what you call it? Where you recognize the seniors. I think a lot of times seniors are left out. Seniors are left out. Actually, I just want to share something with you. Next year, 2020, we're planning to have the Al Hikmat annual award ceremony to recognize parents of professionals. See, a lot of times people recognize professionals. You know what I'm saying? Like they recognize you and give you an award because you're a professional. But I think a lot of these organizations need to invite your parents and give them an award for producing somebody like you. So that's what we're going to do next year. We're going to recognize community leaders and professionals, recognize their parents, because their parents have been forgotten. And a lot of times people only invite them to have a meal at the annual award ceremony. But we want to let them be the limelight, because they're the ones who have produced these community leaders. What do you think of that idea?
It's a great idea.
So we need to work on that.
We can work together on that.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much for viewing Global Issues on Al Hikmat TV 24/7 online. It has been a pleasure to have with us in our Hikmat studio Sister Naima Kangani. Those of you who have been on, you would have enjoyed the conversation. We discussed many different areas, students, names, seniors, health, the whole 9 yards. So continue to tune in to Al Hikmat TV 24/7 online. And until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.